Now, the hellish conditions of those impacted by the flood in several states is intensifying, even as the federal government confirmed yesterday that at least 500 persons had died in the last few weeks due to the devastating impact of the natural disaster. The figure was released at a meeting in Abuja and convened by the federal government, comprising all relevant agencies connected to tackling the menace in the country. Apart from the 500 persons that have now died, the federal government also disclosed that over 45,000 houses have been totally destroyed, while over 70,000 hectares of farmland have also been damaged. Yahaya Mohammed Usman is a journalist, politician, and political analyst, and he joins us now. Good to have you on Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, of course, now let's begin with this unfortunate natural disaster. Did the countries, or I'm saying the countries, pardon me, did the states that were supposed to be highly affected, specifically in the north, we understand that in some cases they did not take the warnings seriously in terms of preventative measures. So is this the result of that?
Yeah, I think aside from the warning, the fact is that the majority of the rural people affected by the flood are very poor. So even if you give a warning without providing the required alternative, there's hardly anything the people can do. For instance, somebody who has a mud house, you are asking him to move away from where he has built his house, and there's no alternative provision to that house. What can he do? Somebody with a family, especially the female folks, will require a lot of assistance. So you hardly can move these people. These people have no choice. But the government can decide to give them the alternative that is required. Moreover, these people, most of them have lived there for hundreds of years. Most of them have been there since their great-grandparents. And you are now asking them, you are giving them a warning without providing alternative. I think the warning is not enough. The warning should have been backed up with alternative provision for the people.
That's right. Now, we're looking at more than 600,000 people and counting currently displaced. But apart from these dire consequences, one of the major impacts that we're looking at is the possibility of sharp food inflation hitting us imminently. Now, the agri-sector has already been hit by insecurity. What's the real outlook? Because if you look at today's papers, today's comments, there are contrasting inputs. You have some people saying that there's going to be food inflation, and other people saying that actually Nigeria has enough reserves of grain, for example, to be able to stabilize that. What's the real outlook in your opinion?
The outlook is very gloomy. It is not a very good looking situation, because a population of over 200 million plus people, what provision can you really make for this set of people? Moreover, the people are in abject poverty. The population is massive. Whatever it is that you are providing, or whatever it is that is in your reserve, be rest assured that it will not be enough to cater for the people. Like Niger State, where I come from, about 7 or 8 local governments have been affected. And of course, I know you know that Niger State has the largest landmass in terms of landmass in Nigeria. So if 8 local governments are affected, you know it's a terrible situation. Inflation is eating up most people's income, and food prices are rising. So if you go by whatever it is that you have in reserve, there's a very, 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 very negative outlook. Somebody has to do something, and it has to be very urgent. More than 8 people have died so far in Niger State, and I don't see the government doing enough to kind of cushion the effect of this flooding. You see local governments like Lavun, Kwantagora, Magama, Bako, Rijau, and so many other local governments have been affected. People have died, people have lost their livelihoods, people have lost their homes. In fact, what is most required now is a kind of intervention. Blankets, food, emergency needs, supplies, healthcare, and so on. Then the outlook on the food security is something that you look at in the nearest future. But for now, I think the government has to come out, and it has to come out very strong to assist the people.
Very well said. Now, besides the loss of life, which is definitely the most important, and the economic hits that we're expecting, what's also crucial is that, this is also a health hazard based on the fact that the water has also been contaminated, and those living in those areas also face, possibility of being infected with cholera, dysentery, typhoid, to mention a few. So I'm just wondering who are the stakeholders that need to apply more pressure for us to see this situation addressed as urgently as it needs to be?
This, the dire situation, everybody in a dire situation like this, everybody is a stakeholder. Everybody. But the buck stops at the table of the government, the state and the federal government. And it will interest you to know that most of the government facilities, especially in Mina, have been disconnected from the power supply, like the General Hospital, for refusal to pay their bills. So even if you have people who have been able to access the medical facilities, like in the case of the outbreak of cholera, for instance, when the state government is not meeting up with its responsibilities, what do you do? But the truth must be told, the government has to do something, because the government is the biggest stakeholder and the people are the government. So resources should be channeled towards assisting these people. It is urgent. It is very, very urgent. They have to do it fast. Otherwise, we'll have a situation at hand.
Absolutely. The situation is already at hand, with NIMET also issuing warnings of this continuing for the next few weeks. Apart from pressure groups and we here trying to pressure the government, what can actually be done to get some of these people who are most vulnerable to these types of calamities to safety before more windfall is made?
Yeah, temporary, what is required now urgently is temporary settings for these people. They are more or less like IDPs. So the government should look for emergency food supplies, emergency healthcare providers, emergency accommodation, emergency assistance that will be able to assist these people to pick up their lives back, at least at a temporary location. We know that certainly the floats will go back, and then they can now rebuild. Then also, whatever it is the government is doing, it has to begin to look at how it will improve on whatever it is that they have in the reserve, because there will be huge demand for food in the nearest future, and we might land in shortage. Also, I think more enlightenment needs to be done. People have to be enlightened, especially with regards to first aids. People have to be enlightened with regards to how they can be able to manage situations that are expected to come up, how they can assist each other. Then development partners, it's urgent, please, they have to do something. It is very quick, it is important, it is very necessary.
Indeed, and now, of course, we also understand that we know that you're also a political, analyst. I'm just wondering, based on the fact that it's political season and campaigns have kicked off in earnest, would you say that the focus is now on the campaigns and all retaining power or getting into positions of authority, and that's why situations like this are not getting as much attention as they should?
Yeah, definitely you are in the election seasons. You expect that the elections will preoccupy a lot of people's mind. But I think governance should not be set aside for the purpose of election. Moreover, the elections are to usher in government that will take care of the people. So now the people are in need. Government should not relinquish its responsibility to the people. Yeah, elections have come. They are here. There's nothing we can do about it. People have to campaign. Already, most of the political parties or the political players or the candidates have already set out their programs. But these are emergency situations. So they should also make provision for emergency situations like this, so that when you are in power, you know that the nature is beyond your control. What are the provisions you are making for it? So in your programs, in the programs of political players, they should be able to accommodate some of these issues like flood, like pest attack, like famine, like excessive maybe sunshine and so on and so forth that will affect our outbreak of diseases. So it is giving us a clue that these are things that we cannot afford to neglect. People are the voters. Now, whether you ignore this situation or not, these people have been displaced. What is the provisions INEC is making for these IDPs to be able to also participate in the electoral processes? This is very important to look at too.
Absolutely. Very valid point that you've made there. And, you know, while we're on politics, your party, the People's Democratic Party, kicked off its presidential campaign on Monday in Uyo. And again, it was a long list of those who failed to come to that made the headlines rather than those who were actually present. Can you share your thoughts about this with us?
I don't think it's a long list. It should rather be a long list of people who attended. Some people would have been excused, some people have sent in apologies, and some people have a reason not to be there because of maybe exigencies that surround their work and their office. We're just talking about not ignoring governance for campaigns. If you have a situation like this at hand and then you have to go to attend a ceremonial flag off, I don't think, you have to prioritize sometimes. That notwithstanding, some people did not attend, and I think they might have reasons why they did not attend. Okay, like personally, I was not in some of the places, but I was also in some of the places, so not everybody will attend. The bulk is, the focus should be, you saw the magnitude of crowd that we are there. And by the way, everybody has just one thumb, and everybody will thumbprint one ballot. So it is not a long list of people not attending, but rather it should be a long list of people who attended.
Oh, I'm so sorry to cut you short, but we do know that the headlines were specifically about those who did not attend, Wike and co. So what's the party doing to address their grievances or to bring them back into the fold on a positive note, even though they've actually said that they're not going to, go to another party? What's being done to address their grievances?
Yeah, a lot is being done. You see, like the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, is himself an institution who has been able to build institutions. You see, the issues that were brought forward by Governor Nyesom Wike are valid issues, but then the institutions are in place to address these valid issues. So it requires due process, it requires following the rules and regulation. Otherwise, whatever it is that you are trying to fix, you might end up breaking it. I think it has been set in motion. The harmonization has been set in motion. I believe you saw that after Governor Wike made his points, there are several meetings that have been held and reports have been submitted. So it might be slow, but definitely there will be peace at the end of the day. So nobody is resting on his oars. Everybody is doing everything possible. And for this, I think Wike too is a unifier, just like Atiku is a unifier. All of us are unifiers. And the most important thing is that the country is challenged. There's insecurity. Now we have flood. There's inflation. There's economic downturn. The debt is growing. We need to stop all this and reverse it with immediate effect. These are the germane points, not personal issues, not personal quarrels. These are personal quarrels can always be settled. Who gets what will always be settled. I think as we go on, you'll begin to see a lot of harmony being displayed in PDP campaigns.
Well, absolutely. Everybody's waiting with bated breath to see if that harmony will come in time for Election Day. Yahaya Mohammed, a politician and journalist and political analyst, thank you so much for your time.